And a good midday Monday to everyone. Roger Hill, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. Looking at the country at large in the lower 48 United States. Illustrating cold air up in Canada, and that's really not that far away from the state of Vermont, up just north of the Great Lakes. Earlier this morning there was temperatures in the minus 20s, and there you can see there's still these kind of colder temperatures kind of rolling in. And there's kind of a pattern up in the far northern areas where we're seeing a kind of an upper level low that's situated not too far from Hudson Bay, a little bit further to the north of that. And that right now is constituting kind of the polar vortex. We're going to see that basically weaken. It's kind of displaced, and some colder air is gradually going to work into the region. But right now, of course, this morning we're seeing temperatures in the 40s. And we have a weak weather system moving on through. It's fairly diffuse. It is producing some rain shower activity. And we can see a little bit of wet snow in some of the higher terrain. You can see at Saranac Lake picked up a little bit of wet snow there. So in the higher terrain, this is a quick hitter. It's moving on out. It'll be scattering out to basically just a little bit of flurry action later on this evening. And then during the day tomorrow, we'll see this one work on in. And so weather systems are moving at a pretty quick hustle here. You can see kind of the flow with these tan lines here, and that's showing the thickness values at about 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet, and so on and so forth. But this will be our next customer. That's going to move in tomorrow night, and it's going to be a quick band. It's going to evolve into more of a frontal boundary, much like this one, only a lot more potent, and it basically moves through on Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening, exits out of the region. Then we get into an area of higher pressure that's up to the north here, and that's going to be spreading south and east and ridge across parts of New England for Wednesday for dry weather. Beyond that point, then we have an elongated snowfall. That snowfall is going to be setting up kind of like this one, and this is or pieces of it, you might say. It's jet stream energy that has yet to come, and it's basically going to take a track across the northern tier regions and lay down a swath of snow with some mixed precipitation on its southern periphery, and then warmer temperatures and just rain in southern parts of the I-95 corridor. But it looks like northern New England is in for mostly all snow. And this is our current weak weather system that's kind of pushing on through, and it's producing just a very scanty amount of light rain showers. Again, a little bit of wet snow in the highest terrain. This is valid at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And as we roll the model here, this is going to be exiting out this evening. This is about 10 o'clock. So through about 10 o'clock, we're going to see a little bit of snow shower or flurry action, and then that's going to exit out of the region. Then we get into a break, and then here comes this next weather system. This is kind of lining up a little bit more like a front. You might notice in the last frames there. And this is looking like all snow. It'll be a little bit of wet snow. We're looking at probably a dusting to a couple of inches, maybe locally 3 inches in some of our higher terrain. And then that system then starts to pull away and scatter out as a little bit of flurries during the overnight period on Tuesday night. That sets up basically Wednesday as a dry day. It's kind of weak, but 1033 hectopascal high pressure at the surface there across James Bay, kind of ridging southward. And that gives us a nice little break in the action on Wednesday, albeit a lot of clouds that are basically sheared out aloft out ahead of it. So the net effect is not a whole lot in the way of sunshine, despite a good dry project weather. Now we have the system coming in for Wednesday night, and this is the one that means business. Now note, both this is the GFS ensemble. We're looking at the European. I'd concentrate on the European here, but what we can see is some pretty healthy snowfall, falling moderate for a time. And that's going to continue all day Thursday. It does produce a little bit of mixed precipitation types that try to make a run later in the day, and it looks like the southern four counties do get a little bit into that. I think basically north central Vermont, northern regions, northern tier, including the Adirondacks, adjacent New Hampshire, will stay all snow. And then we have the second setup. So as this punches east, a little bit of a break in the action, maybe a lull, and then we get a little bit more of this mixed precipitation type. GFS ensemble's not having it. They're kind of thinking it's more of sleet and some freezing rain, and kind of back to the drawing board on that. But I'm going with the European. It's a little bit colder, and I think this is the way things are going to make out. So we have this last of the series of low pressures then tracking off to the east of us. Not very strong, but just enough to cause a little bit of a blustery condition. No gradient wind effects, but something we'll keep a close eye on. And then that sets us up with this very cold area of higher pressure, 1042 hectopascal, and that'll be centered just about right over Vermont at 1037. That's still fairly strong, and that's going to provide us a nice day on Saturday. And then beyond that, another Alberta Clipper system. This is now beyond the period that'll work on through. And this is the one that's going to bring really some sharp cold air setting up for basically early next week. But even before that point, we're looking at a little bit of Arctic chill for Friday night, Saturday morning. Looking at the GFS ensemble plume centered on the grid point of Montpelier, you can see that it's a busy weather pattern. This is the little bit of light rain showers that are coming in. This is the wet snow shower activity tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, then a break. And then we have the system coming in Wednesday night and Thursday, and then a secondary kind of deal to it. It looks like on lingering in a Friday before that second low moves on by. And then we dry it out, it looks like, for Saturday, potentially into Sunday, but we'll have to wait and see. This is more precipitation on the backside with that sort of second Alberta Clipper system that's going to work on through. Let's look at the total QPF. It looks like this. It's running about 1 inch or so. That's after the main storm system that's going to provide us with the snow. Looking at precipitation, or 850 hectopascal heights there, temperature at top Mount Mansfield, I'm sorry. And then basically you can see that it's below freezing, the 0 degree centigrade line. It does warm up, however, so we get kind of a little bit close with a mix. I think most of that mix is going to stay to the south and southern parts of Vermont, and then a nice temperature drop off with that secondary batch of colder air and some Arctic chill along about Friday night, Saturday morning. Thus it looks like this. We have rain showers in the valleys and tippy-top mountain summits. We're looking at a little bit of wet snow. Then we get all wet snow, and then mostly wet snow, and then the last part of that system along about Thursday during the daylight hours looks like it could find a little bit of a mix in southern counties, and then it tails off as snow again, and then we're looking at mostly all snow with that next system beyond the period. So the western U.S. is back at it again. We're starting to see an increase in the amount of precipitation, a little bit dry in between, and this is our sort of storm track that it moves into the northeast, and indeed this is what we're going to be seeing with this system setting up with a swath of snow that's going to take it right across the country. And looking at today's conditions here, we have anomalous cold, relatively decent cold at that, and I was talking about that minus 20 degree temperature this morning, and you can see where that cold is. And that's going to try to penetrate south and east, but right now we're in the warm sector for one day, with temperatures today predicted to get up around 45. And it looks like the warmer temperatures now are going to be suppressed to the south and east over the next 5 days of high temperatures. And here comes the cold. It's making some incoming push here, with temperatures running about, 6 degrees below normal for the high temperatures for Moss, and 9 degrees below normal up and weighted again for the next 5 days of high temperatures up in the parts of Canada. And then 3 days later, it looks like that. A little bit of an inroad toward some warming, but not quite making it. And this is what's going to cause that mix on Thursday. And currently, this is what we're looking at here with rain showers working on through. It's very, very minor. Of course, no impacts for utilities. Temperatures are pretty warm. This is the last warm day. Expect colder weather from here on out. Looking at wind gusts, really not a big deal as well. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.